Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you've been having a really wonderful start to your week. And if I have any fathers listening, then happy Father's Day or late Father's Day. I know that it will be Monday as of when I'm releasing this video. And today we're going to be doing one of our collective readings. So I channel these collective readings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm really excited to get into the messages, which, by the way, all of these messages are co-creations of each and every one of you here listening. So thank you for taking the time to be present here, for sharing your own light and your energy. And I am just so deeply grateful for this whole wonderful community that we've been creating here on YouTube and now on Instagram as well. I do have an Instagram, so you can follow me there at 𝗬𝗬𝗀. So I am going to be pulling cards today, but I have been feeling a few messages coming through really strongly that I want to talk about first. So the first message that's been coming through is around grid working. I've used the term grid working in prior reading videos, and a grid worker is a very specific type of light worker who is drawn to specific geographical places or locations around the world. Now, of course, in a traditional concept, we think of a grid worker as being someone who feels called to move around or often move locations or travel from place to place. But there are many ways to practice grid working if it's something that you're called to do. And it's just as powerful to be drawn to specific locations within a local community as it is to be drawn to travel thousands of miles internationally. So distance really is irrelevant when it comes to grid working. You may feel simply called to drive a different route or to go to a different park or store or event or place in your local area. The thing about grid working is you have a subconscious soul awareness of the power of your presence in a space, in a country, in a city, in a group of people, in a family. And because of this subconscious knowing, as a grid worker, you will feel guided to offer your presence, to offer your energy to specific groups, places, events, locations that you feel intuitively drawn to. People around you may think that this is just random. You may be seen as someone who is somewhat spontaneous or who can get restless when you stay in one place too long, but there's actually a spiritual purpose to this. It's because part of your mission here on earth is to strengthen the spiritual grid lines on the planet, to help heal the planet, the Gaia, Mother Earth energy on the planet at one level. That's one layer to the equation, but it's very multi-layered because you are also actually strengthening and healing and shifting certain people, groups, places, locations. And I'm getting a wave of chills as I channel into this because you literally leave a golden footprint. That's what my guides are calling it, a golden footprint wherever you go. You leave a kind of impression of light that quite literally changes the energetic landscape of that place or of that group or location permanently. This is also why, if you are a grid worker, you may be someone who feels called to go somewhere, but then you just simply are sitting there, maybe meditating, maybe reading, maybe just enjoying that location and just like embodying your energy there. This is actually quite common when you are a grid worker to feel called to go somewhere just to be present. Because even though from a physical perspective, it looks like you are just there, like sitting, standing, walking around, exploring, experiencing that place, from an energetic perspective, you are leaving that golden footprint. You are sharing your light. I keep hearing like when you open your heart in a space, even silently, even you just being there with your heart open, not necessarily doing or saying anything specific, just the embodiment of that energy permanently impacts that place. For some of you, this may not resonate as geographical locations, but as social groups of people, friends, people that you feel called to reach out to, connect with, interact with, or be around. And again, the key is you're in this very heart-open energy when you are around those groups of people or doing those things or in those locations. And that's really what's making the impression, leaving the mark here. Now, another download that was coming through really strongly is a specific message for those of you who are in some kind of romantic connection. I don't mean necessarily a physical romantic relationship, because of course there's the connection and then there's the relationship. And the connection spiritually, for the purposes of this reading, obviously there are different ways to define these terms, but the way I like to kind of conceptualize this is there are certain connections in our lives where even if we don't have a physical relationship in the moment with that person, we still feel energetically bonded to them. They still serve a cosmic purpose in our kind of quantum field. These are the people that you could go months or years without communicating with, but you always kind of sense them. You sense their presence energetically. You may even dream of them. You may always feel this inexplicable closeness to them, even if you don't speak or see each other for years. These are people that you have that deeper soul bond with, that connection, as we're calling it. The physical relationship is what two humans choose to do with that connection, how they choose to define it physically, to label it, how they choose to physically communicate, how they choose to interact with each other. And they get to set those rules and boundaries. And that's where free will comes into play, choosing what is best for yourself in this life, choosing for the higher good of that human aspect of yourself. Because of course, we came here on earth not just to experience connection. Of course, it's inevitable that we are going to encounter these deep, meaningful soul connections that touch us, that stay with us no matter where we go. But we also incarnated here to experience positive, beautiful, supportive relationship in our physical human form. And so many of us are learning that piece of things. We are learning how to honor and fully show up for the physical human experience as much as we've been showing up for the soul or the more quote unquote spiritual part of our experience here on earth. Because we're meant to be both in this lifetime. We aren't meant to choose between what our soul needs and what our human self needs. We have to honor both aspects of the self. And so I am speaking to a group that is in the midst of, well, I say in the midst, but you've been in this for a while if this is for you. There's been a dominant soul connection in your life. And for some reason, I heard it coming through. You might at times feel like it's plaguing you. Of course, that's a negative way to look at it. And it doesn't feel that way all the time. But there's something about this deep, seemingly never-ending soul connection that can almost feel entrapping in this human realm. And when I say that, that's how it can feel when you're trying to control it or define it or understand it or like grasp it on this mental conscious level. It can feel like this never-ending labyrinth, sort of. Like you get lost in this mental maze. By the way, this is often exactly how it feels. This is actually probably a very strong sign, I could say. One I've never really talked about before, but a sign that you have a very powerful soul connection with someone is very often when you try to fully grasp it from a conscious level, when you try to fully understand it or just put it into words and explain it, it starts to feel like you're lost in this mental maze, like you're running circles. And this is because there are some things in our lives, and really the most spiritual things in our lives can't really fully be understood. They can't fully be measured. They can't be grabbed a hold of fully at that conscious level. They are meant to be experienced. And so when you're experiencing something that's deeply tied to your soul, you will often have this sensation of, wow, I feel like this is powerful. I feel like this is meaningful. I can't stop thinking about this. I don't want to let it go, but I almost feel crazy because I can't really understand it consciously, and I can't really fully find the words to even understand it within my own mind, let alone to explain it to another person. That's often how you know that you've gone through something that is a spiritual experience, something that is meant to be felt and sensed and lived through, is meant to have some kind of impression on you, is meant to change you energetically from the inside out, rather than being consciously understood in a kind of cut and dry, linear fashion. And so I'm speaking to a group who specifically have been in some kind of divine connection, we'll say. There may or may not be that physical human relationship, but the connection has always been there. This is a connection that has seemed to follow you through this life, that has actually followed you through lifetimes, plural. This has been following you through many, many lifetimes. And for the collective I'm speaking to here, you encountered this soul physically in this lifetime, consciously at some point, and it quite literally changed the trajectory of your entire life, and not just your life, but the other person's life as well. It was a spiritual awakening wrapped up in a person, however you want to label it. For some of you, you may refer to this person as a twin flame. You may refer to them as a soulmate, a divine lover, a divine counterpart, or maybe you've just given up trying to label this altogether and you just recognize that this is a unique, deep, and meaningful spiritual bond. The thing about this is, it seems that you've tried to let this go, and there have been many valid human reasons to do so. In fact, I feel it was necessary at some point, not even just from a human perspective, but even from a spiritual growth perspective, to create some kind of distance in the physical with this person. The word wounded is coming up. So I feel like them in their human form, they've been deeply wounded in this life, and they've been struggling under a lot of heavy karma. But I am hearing that they have been coming out on the other side of this. They've been doing a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to clearing this karmic patterning. But when they've been in the thick of it, I feel that it was impossible for you to stay super physically connected or involved with this person without limiting your own growth. I'm hearing the highest expression of your own truth. So there's something about staying more connected with that person physically that was inhibiting you being able to fully express and live in your own truth. And I'm hearing, keep following what's true for you. The reason this connection is coming up is because there has been a cycle completing itself. And I wanted to say, for some of you, this could be a 10-year cycle. So it doesn't have to be 10 years, but for some of you, you can look back to where you were about 10 years ago, and you can see something coming into a full circle moment. I'm hearing that for some of you, you are returning back. Talk about grid working, by the way. I'm getting so many chills because there's another layer to grid working that I can tell the guides want me to talk about here. And it's that another layer to grid working that I don't think I've ever really put into these terms. Wow, thank you to those of you co-creating this reading, because you're manifesting out this really high level information. I don't think we've ever channeled this before, but sometimes grid working is about healing you. It's about going to certain geographical places, locations, connecting with certain people, groups that actually, in a sense, hold a piece of your soul. I'm hearing it's like a soul retrieval process, and not always even just from this lifetime. But the interesting thing is, as I see you picking up this piece of your soul, you look at it and it's actually a mirror. It's like every piece of your soul that you're retrieving from different people, places, timelines, physical locations, countries, cities, whatever this is for you, all of those pieces are actually mirrors as well. And they are reflecting back a new aspect of yourself that isn't really new, that's actually deeply ancient, but it's reminding you of an aspect of yourself that you can then integrate. And in doing so, you can embody an even fuller expression of everything that you really are and are meant to be on a soul level. So sometimes you feel drawn to a certain person, a group of people, a community, a city, a location, to travel somewhere because you have an awareness that that place actually holds a piece of yourself, a fragment of your soul that is meant to mirror something back to you so that you can integrate it. Now, some of these come from this lifetime. So with this 10-year cycle completing, you may actually be finding yourself drawn to certain people, things, or just experiences that would have been relevant to you in some way approximately 10 years ago. That, again, won't be the case for everyone. But if that is for you, it's because of this cycle completing itself. And I'm hearing you're returning back to some of the same things, but you've changed. And it's almost like your guides are trying to get you to see the contrast, to see that you've been the one that's changed. You've been the one that's done the work. You've been the one that's grown and evolved and stepped into this higher version of yourself. It's not that some of these things are coming up to test you, but to show you how far you've come, to show you that you are showing up for yourself, your inner self, like your inner child, in a way that you were not able to in the past, in that weaker state. And that is very healing, to re-enter just briefly a pattern, a cycle, a situation, an energy, a place, a group of people, but this time to be entering it in your power instead of giving your power away. And I'm hearing this can help you to close the loop when you show up as this new, most powerful version of yourself that you've earned every step of the way, that you've become. And showing up that way in a place that used to take your power, or that used to hurt you, or that used to affect you, again, whether it's a place, a person, a connection, a group, you actually close the loop on healing something within yourself. You almost like solidify that healing process that's already taken place. And you fully take back that fragment of yourself that you may have left there. You allow it to mirror back to you whatever part of yourself you're ready now to see and to integrate it, to absorb it fully. So what I'm getting is that, first of all, I'm hearing protect this version of you, because you've done so much work on yourself to become who you are today. Be so proud of that. Be so proud of how far you've come, but also recognize that this version of you is worth protecting. And there are people, places, or cycles that at times you may almost feel are desiring to connect with a version of you that no longer exists, with a weaker version of you, with a version of you that would give away their power, or that wouldn't fully speak or express their truth, or wouldn't hold a boundary. And there's something here about like the final step to closing the loop on healing something being actually applying that healing by showing up as the healed version of you. And that's kind of the sense that I get here, that you've done the healing, but now there are certain situations coming back up or presenting themselves, asking you to show up as that healed, more powerful version of yourself to close the loop on that healing. Now, getting back to this deep soul connection, I feel an internal struggle within a group that I'm speaking to here. And I'm hearing that the struggle isn't quite what it looks like on the surface, or it's not quite how the conscious mind understands it. Because what I'm getting here is that to the conscious mind, this so-called struggle kind of looks as though you're struggling internally over whether or not to return back to something. Now, for some of you, this will very specifically be a soul connection. Maybe there's a part of you that feels really drawn back to a particular person or a soul connection that you still feel that bond with, but that the relationship itself has caused you emotional pain. Or I'm hearing there was a time where you sacrificed yourself for this soul connection, where you betrayed yourself, your human needs, your true soul desires, where you didn't express your full truth because you were trying to appease or to hold on to this situation physically that you felt such a connection to spiritually, and you've no longer been doing that. And that is why you've been healing. That's why you've been evolving. But it's almost like there is this internal conflict of, am I ready now to go back to this situation or to reconnect with this person or to lock myself into this timeline or into this situation or relationship or whatever it is? But I'm hearing that the struggle that you're feeling internally, it's different than what the mind thinks it is. So the mind thinks it's about this person or it's about this connection. But I'm hearing really it's about fear of letting go and surrendering, releasing control, and allowing your life to be this beautiful, unique, inherently uncontrollable expression of you. Because what I'm getting is your life has developed this kind of rhythm and flow to it that has been, I'm hearing, like art. It's been like a living, breathing work of art. And yet, because you live your life in this flow, because you are not able to be controlled or even really understood, because you are coming up directly against so many societal constructs and limiting belief systems, ways of doing things that people want to project onto you, it's almost like there is this inkling of doubt at times within yourself. Am I on the right path? Should I be choosing a more conventional pathway? Should I be controlling this in some way or creating some sense of certainty? I'm hearing the beauty of your life flows when you are willing to walk forward in surrender. Let I tripped over my words there. Okay, so there might be something with throat chakra energy coming up, communication internally or from someone. We'll get into that because sometimes when I trip over my words a little bit, it connects somehow with the collective throat chakra. So we'll talk about that. But I just got this message from the guides. Let the universe show you how wonderful it can continue to be, how magical it can get as you keep surrendering to the flow of things. The feeling I get is that whatever situation the mind here is transfixed upon or fixated on, whether it's that divine connection or it's some other form of connection, an opportunity, a job, a pathway, a timeline, it's almost like the mind is trying to push you for a sense of certainty through control. But the soul is whispering here that the most beautiful and aligned path forward here is not the conventional one. It's the pathway where you are continuing to refuse to control, where you are continuing to lean into surrender, where you are trusting yourself to be intuitively guided to the next step forward. where you are saying, no, I don't need to put myself in a box. I don't need to lock myself into certainty or into a timeline. I can be free. I can give myself this freedom, because what kept coming through so strongly as well is that freedom is the greatest gift that you've ever given yourself. Do not forfeit it. That was a message coming through from the guides. Do not forfeit your freedom for a false sense of certainty, because I'm getting the sense that you may be kind of picking up on some of those external or even internal pressures right now. By the way, when you pick up on that pressure, know that you're doing something really powerful, because what that actually means is, I got so many chills again, because I saw the whole planet and just this vision of millions of people that you are currently inspiring or are going to inspire through the way that you live your life so unconventionally, because you are surrendering, because you are refusing to try to control this process. What is meant to be for you will connect with you in your full truth, in your full empowerment, when you are showing up as this strongest, most confident, most aligned, most free, most powerful version of yourself. And if this does relate to a specific divine connection, there has to be a deep element of trust there, that when you are soul connected to another person, that connection is 99% or more happening energetically, and you are bonded with that person energetically. And if it is an authentic soul connection, meaning it's not based in cords created through codependency, but it's actually based in soul resonance, you have a similar, or in the case of twin flames, an identical core soul frequency to that person, to their soul. What that means is the more you tune yourself physically to that true inner vibration of your soul, the more you naturally will heal and connect with that other person as well, with those who share a similar core frequency to your own. And those people, just like you feel this never-ending connection to them, I'm getting that you have to trust that what you have is deeply rare, valuable, and unique to the both of you. That if there really is an authentic, pure soul connection, you can trust that the other person feels it too, that there is that bond of mutuality, even if there is a necessary space in the physical world, even if there is a lack of communication. And you must trust that as you keep flowing forward with your life, refusing to let yourself give in to control mechanisms, at times refusing to even need to find the words to conceptualize this or to explain this or to understand it, but just allowing yourself to intuitively move with it. That is how you create the most harmonious pathway forward and connect with the best and highest circumstances, opportunities, etc. for you and for everyone else involved in this situation. So I am going to go ahead and pull a few cards here at the end of the reading. I am really surprised by this, but I guess we didn't end up really needing any cards during this reading. There were just so many powerful messages flowing through. So let's see if the cards have anything else for us here. I would love to hear from you in the comments if anything here has been connecting for you personally. I really love reading through all of your comments, and I see so many of you writing about amazing things happening in your life and sharing quotes and inspiration with our community. And it's just really, really beautiful and uplifting to see. So thank you to all of you who participate in such positive ways in this space. Well, of course, the first card we pulled here is the Queen of Wands. This is you. But I'm hearing that there's a fire to you as well. You've always been the Queen of Wands, even when you were in that state where you may have been betraying yourself or sacrificing yourself, which, by the way, when you were doing that, it's not because there was anything wrong with you. It's because you are unusually intuitive. So when you have the ability to sense that something is spiritually authentic or spiritually significant, such as that soul connection we've been referencing, it only makes sense that the first instinct is to give to that connection and to protect it. And so it's natural that you may have betrayed your human physical self for this deeper soul understanding of what something was to you or is to you spiritually. But the beautiful thing about this journey is you're learning to hold both aspects of yourself with respect and care. And that's what's rendering you so powerful. That's also why you're going to be seeing such a magnitude of physical abundance and successes, however you define those things, because of course, everyone has different definitions of those things, but those dreams, those goals, those deep desires related to manifesting in the physical realm are going to be coming into fruition because you learned how to honor not just your soul, but your physical self as well, and how to beautifully balance and care for both of those aspects of yourself. Now, a card just flew out here onto the ground. We have the Devil reversed. Yeah, so talking about this 10-year cycle, I see that for those of you relating to this cycle, I see you like disconnecting cords from yourself, cords of codependency, cords of control. I feel that this last 10 years, again, it doesn't have to be 10 years, but this cycle closing out for you, however long it's been, has been about detaching these cords that have connected to you energetically, not based in that core soul resonance that we were talking about, but those cords of attachment through mutual codependency and mutual expectation based in that codependency. Whether this was in the workplace, in friendships, in social groups, in family relationships, in your life generally, or even how you were transacting with yourself. For some of you, you may have been in the past treating yourself conditionally, like you will be worthy of love if you look this way, or if you do these things, or if you achieve these goals. Those are cords that may have been attaching to you as well. But I see that slowly, cord by cord, you've been attaching everything, every thought form, every energy, every person that's been connecting with you in some kind of codependent way. And you've been freeing yourself one step at a time until you've reached this point where you're clear, where you're magnetic, where you're wide open, where you are ready to fully manifest and bring into fruition everything that you've ever desired on that soul level. But then I sense here that it's like with the Six of Swords reversed and the Five of Wands, it's that internal conflict coming up right at the end of this cycle. It's like you've detached those cords of codependency. You've closed out that cycle, but now it's like you have to fully close that loop of healing by showing up in those situations. Or again, it might be similar energies coming back in the form of different people or different situations, but you're meant to be meeting those situations as this new, empowered, more confident version of yourself in order to transcend to the next level here, to a kind of harmonious pathway forward. And I do see with the Chariot that this is something that you're going to overcome, that you are transcending beyond this, but you might just be feeling those echoes and those remnants of, again, like that past version of yourself, that there are certain people, things, or situations that have been kind of trying to connect with that weaker version of you, but you are going to rise above this with the Chariot here. And I see that as you do, it's almost like there is this massive spiritual up-leveling that takes place through the crown chakra. And this will bring in, and for some of you, depending on where this energetic wave is reaching you, you may already be on the other side of this wave. And if so, you're already experiencing this newfound flood of passion, of excitement, maybe some kind of massive visible breakthrough in your life. But I really see that happening as you continue to step into what's coming up for you. Again, whether it's a person, a relationship, a situation, an opportunity, but to step into it with that new version of you, that version of you that you've healed. There's such a powerful new level waiting for you here. And I feel that you've been sensing that. You've been sensing that everything that came before is closing out, and that you're ready now for a level of life experience that you were not ready for in the past, that all of this has been an initiation for this powerful new phase that's now about to be coming into form. Wow, these messages have been so beautiful today. Thank you to those of you who have been here manifesting all of this. I'm really excited to carry this over to the extended version of the reading to see what else we channel into here. So if you've been connecting with these messages and you do want to join me on the extended, I'll leave a link to it underneath this video in the pinned comment and description box. You can listen either on Patreon or on YouTube memberships. Otherwise, I'm going to close out this reading here. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to hear from you in the comments. And of course, feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet. Join our beautiful community of like-minded, conscious, creative beings here on YouTube. I do post these collective readings Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to tune in on those times and days. But also do subscribe and stay tuned if you resonate here, because I often post surprise pop-up videos outside of those main readings as well. So when you subscribe and turn on notifications, you will be the first to know when I post any kind of new reading videos, downloads, and messages here on YouTube. Have an amazing remainder of your day and start to your week, and I will connect with you here again in Wednesday's reading.